Welcome to Boomhouse69's YouTube channel. Some of you probably looked at like camping stores and camping gear, camping hiking gear, and kind of like outdoor survival gear and stuff, and you probably came across these Mylar tube tents before and probably wonder what they are used for and what they essentially are and stuff. This one here, I actually got out of a survival kit a long time ago that I did a video about on YouTube. It was one of those cheap survival kits, that pre-made survival kits that they sell on Amazon, and I just simply did a YouTube video about it just for the fun of it. And most of the stuff that was in it was just complete garbage junk anyways, and this just happened to be in it. Now right off the bat, with this one, what you get is simply the tent itself, and then 20 feet of some cordage, some real cheap nylon rope cordage. It's 8 foot by 5 foot, so 8 foot long and basically 5 foot high kind of thing there, I guess. And then the cordage claims to be 20 feet long rope cordage. If I was actually going to ever use this, I would just use better cordage rope that I have in my survival pack. In my camping gear, I have some 550 paracord. I plan on in the near future getting some number 32 bank line, so I would use the bank line or paracord before I'd ever use this little cordage. That little bit of cordage I would probably maybe use for maybe for something else, maybe like hang a few little items up. Maybe if I had a folding saw and I had to tie the folding saw somehow around my waist or something, maybe for that. But I would probably not even bother with that cordage. But what these are used for are used for that emergency situation where you're either camping, hiking, you get lost, or maybe you went camping and you forgot your tent, and this is the only thing you got for your overnighter trip and stuff. You would then break this out and set it up. Or if you're lost out in the woods, these are what most people use these for, and what I use these for is when I'm out camping, hiking, in case I get lost and I forgot my Arcturus survival tarp, and I didn't have that on me, and this is all I got, and I was lost. That's when I would break this thing out and set it up and stuff. This one is one of the paper thin, cheap quality ones where if I open it up, it's not going to surprise me if it rips right away if I open it up and stuff, because this one I can tell is one of the paper cheaper thin. Some are a little more thicker than others. There's different, when it comes to these emergency shelters, there's so many different kinds out there on Amazon, Walmart, and stuff, and I think even Cabela's sells them and stuff. So there's different, qualities and price range of these. Like this one's one of those little cheap ones where you'd probably only pay $12.99 to get it or something. I know the emergency kit that I survival kit that I bought and got this out of, it was only around maybe $50 at the most, but these are just used for one-time use only. These are not something you're gonna go take and use every time you want to go camping. No, they're just designed for that one-time use emergency situation where once you get yourself out of the situation, say you got lost and you had to set this up overnight, and then the next day the search and rescue team that was looking for you, or your friends that came looking for you, they found you, and then you would take this down and most likely just throw it in the trash after you're done with it. Or if you did all right, you might be able to get a couple more times use out of it. Maybe if you have a little bit better quality one, like those ones called like Life Gear or something on those lines. They make some that come in like little cloth baggies that you just stuff in a bag, called Life Gear and stuff. I'll put a link down in the description for the ones I'm talking about. And because there's all kinds of them life gear ones, they're about $20, and those ones you can are designed a little more thicker, where you get a little more use of time out of it, where you can use it more than once. But this one is definitely just a one-time use, throw it in the trash. But what you do is you normally would in an emergency situation on this, since this is a tent, one way you would set this up is you would find 2 trees spaced out properly, and then what you would do is you would tie your cordage to one end of the tree, then you would slide your tent through the cordage, and then you would tie then you would take the other end of the cordage and tie it off and make you what they call a ridge line, or in dummy terms, a clothesline. Basically, you'd make your clothesline and slide this through the clothesline and then tie it off at the other end of the tree. And then what you would do is you'd get you some sticks or rocks or something heavy to put in the corners of the tent to anchor it down, because these don't come with tent stakes. These you don't stake down like you do a normal dome tent or a normal camping tent. You just basically take some heavy sticks and throw them in the corner, or some rocks and throw them in the 4 corners to anchor this down so the wind don't blow it away. What these are designed for is you crawl inside them. You can even set these up like a sleeping bag and just wrap it around your body. That's probably what I would do, is just wrap this around my body like a sleeping bag. Or one idea I would do is maybe cut this, open it up, take my Victoria knot scissors and cut it in a straight line and just make it into a tarp and make a lean-to shelter and do it in that sort of configuration, and just make like a little lean-to shelter, and then have a fire out in front of me to stay warm. But the way these are designed, they're supposed to be a simple, easy setup. So in an emergency situation, if you forgot how to set up a tent or some different shelter configurations, you could just tie this in between 2 trees. Then you crawl inside of it, and then what the basically the Mylar reflective material does is when you're laying inside of it and your body gives off body heat, the body heat will then hit the Mylar reflective material, and then the Mylar will basically act like a paddle or bat and throw it back at you, like say ping pong, for example. Say your body heat is like a ping pong ball, table tennis ball. The body heat would then hit the Mylar material, and then it would hit it and then bounce it back onto you, keeping you warm and stuff in that emergency situation and stuff. You can use these as a tarp or a sleeping bag, or whatever comes to your mind in the emergency situation. But yeah, that's what these are used for, where the Mylar reflective material, as you can see the light I'm using, see how reflective that is. The heat will, your body heat will bounce off of you, bounce on here, and then it bounce back onto you, trying to keep you warm and dry in a situation. These are used for when it's cold out, or if it's simply raining out and you need to shelter yourself from the rain. You could even use this as like a rain poncho if you had to get creative and stuff, if that's all you had. They do make Mylar rain ponchos as well. They make Mylar blankets, which are really common, and also Mylar bivy sacks. I would say more common you're going to find are the Mylar bivy sacks, space blankets, and rain ponchos. These are kind of little, they're common too, but I'm going to say more common are the bivy sack, sleeping bags, the Mylar space blankets, and the Mylar rain ponchos. But yeah, that's all this Mylar stuff is. It's just a way for you to keep the body heat on you and try to keep warm and dry and stuff, and to shelter you from the elements in that emergency one-time use only situation, where when you're out camping, hiking, something happens, you get lost, whatever, and this is all you got. You would set this up however you're going to to try to keep yourself from dry from the elements and prevent yourself from getting sick and possibly getting severely ill in the in a survival situation. Like for example, if I was out camping, hiking, rainstorm came along, then I would set this up and then set it up in a rainstorm, crawl under it with my gear and everything, and try to stay nice and dry and stuff. Or if I was in a cold weather situation where I had to try to stay warm, I would probably just put this on me like a sleeping bag and try to hold it. Use it more like a bivy sack sleeping bag and try to stay warm. This one came out of a real cheap survival kit, so I wouldn't be a bit surprised if I opened it up and it ripped right out of the package and stuff, and it tore and ripped and stuff. So you gotta be super careful, because this is one of the, I can tell you, low quality ones. Maybe sometime in the near future I'll just upgrade to one of the better life gear ones, like I talked about before and stuff. But yeah, these are only used for an emergency situation, and mostly just you use it maybe 1 or 2 times and then you throw it in the trash. This is an emergent shelter that you don't use every time you want to go camping. If you want to go camping with a tent every time, you would just simply buy one of those 2-person dome tents or just a regular tent. These are not used for camping every chance you get, These are just for that one-time emergency use only, when you have nothing else and you gotta rely on this. Hopefully I never have to use this, but I always keep it in my camping, hiking backpack for that just in case emergency when I absolutely gotta and stuff. One thing I'll probably do is I'll probably get a good basic ferrocerium rod, put that in here, and maybe a little bit of fire tinder, and definitely some better cordage in this little packaging, and make like a little mini survival kit out of it just in case, and maybe one of them little cheap button compasses and stuff too, to kind of help just in case in the situation I grab this and this is all I got, I would have some few extra supplies for when I go camping, and also a little folding, some sort of Victorian ox knife or whatever, just in case, if I decided just to grab this for whatever reason and not my whole backpack, then I would have a few extra little supplies. But yeah, I just keep this in my survival camping hiking backpack for in the event if I absolutely need this for whatever reason. Because first I would use my Arcturus survival blanket as a shelter, and then I'd probably use this along with my sleeping bag I got to keep me warm. I would probably tuck this in my sleeping bag and use it as to keep me warm. Or if I was building a big old shelter, then I would cut this and then use this as maybe another shelter roof tarp situation as well. Those are probably the only ways I would use it. I probably wouldn't use it like this. I would probably just cut it, use it as a tarp roof, or as a regular bivy sleeping bag and stuff. But yep, that's what these are used for. So if you're ever in your local camping section at whatever store and you see these, now you'll know what they're used for. They're just used for emergency use only, 1 time, maybe 2 times kind of situation, and something you definitely don't use every time you go camping, unless you got a whole bunch of these sitting in your closet or something, and then hey, knock yourself out. But yeah, they're just designed to be used for 1-time emergency situation. Most people would have these in their emergency storm kits. Maybe you live in an area where you have tornadoes, hurricanes, and stuff, or more major floodings or stuff. You would probably have a few of these in your prepared emergency kits and stuff. Or you're just a prepper, maybe you'd have a few of these and stuff. They're just, again, for that emergency situation, 1 time or 2 times use only and stuff. So If you like this sort of content, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, or a thumbs down if you didn't like it. Don't forget to share this video with everyone you know, because that's going to help me, Boomhauer69, in being able to grow this YouTube channel. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because that's going to help me out as well, and sharing this and everything. Hope you all have a good day, and thank you for watching Boomhauer69's YouTube channel.